I was standing with my feet in sewage watching a male feed a female. I was standing with my feet in sewage in a lawn in Delhi watching a male feed a female. I watched as he took a morsel of food, rolled it, made it perfect and fed the female. The only difference is I'm not talking about a person. This was the male Indian Grey Hornbill, and he was feeding a female Indian Grey Hornbill high up on a Bombax ceiba tree. Bombax ceiba, also known as Semal, is this gorgeous Indian tree that flowers around spring. The way that hornbills breed and the way that they bring up their chicks is that the male seals the female in a big tree, in the hole of a big tree, and he feeds her the whole time that she raises the chicks. So at the time that they're not breeding, the male feeds the female in order to make her used to being in that hole while raising her chicks. What I was watching on the Semal tree was a beautiful scene of cooperation between the two birds. Thousands of miles away, in Glasgow this year, the countries of the world got together to decide the fate of the world. They were coming together to decide what to do about climate change, how to keep global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial levels. The Glasgow Climate Pact was a result of the COP26 climate negotiation. They decided that coal was going to be phased down. They also decided a second overlooked thing, something we tend to forget when we talk about climate change. That is, we need to restore, conserve, and protect nature and natural ecosystems. I'll say that again. We need to restore, conserve, and protect natural ecosystems. It's really important to go back to the issue of that Bombax ceiba or Semal tree. The Bombax ceiba is an Indian tree, and one of the reasons that it is such a popular tree amongst so many birds, hornbills, and different kinds of wildlife is because a native tree will often be a really important source of nourishment to native biodiversity around it. For years, I have been studying the Semal tree. Between 6:30 and 9:30 a.m. every morning at springtime, I look at the Semal and what it kind of brings together. I have found 17 bird species feeding on the Semal when it's flowering. It has these gorgeous flowers. So it's either red or yellow or orange, and it's a big star-shaped flower. You know a Semal just by looking at the flower, and you also know a Semal by looking at the ground around the tree, because often the flowers will fall half-eaten by various kinds of parakeets and hornbills and menas, many other kinds of birds. I counted 17 bird species on the Semal. Not all of them were even resident Delhi birds. Some of them were migratory birds that had come from either Central Asia or Eastern Europe, such as rosy starlings. We have 1,300 bird species in India and 10,000 moth species. It's a big number to wrap your head around, isn't it? But my question is, how many species has your life interacted with? How many different kinds of moths have brushed past your cheek as you go for a midnight walk? How many different bird calls have you heard in your life, and how many different kinds of birds have you seen in your life? I mean, the answer will probably startle you if you think about it. Probably you would have seen at least 100 bird and moth species in your life. We don't often talk about biodiversity when it comes to sustainability. But what we take away from the Glasgow Climate Pact is that restoring native biodiversity is important to fight climate change. Sustainability and any conversation around sustainability is incomplete unless we talk about actually restoring native biodiversity and actually creating sustainability for wildlife. Let me show you a video. In this video, you see a beautiful bird. This is called the navrang. The navrang, 9 colors, that's why it's called the navrang, is also called the Indian pitta in English. This beautiful bird, these beautiful colors, you see it's hopping on the forest floor. It hops on the forest floor, it turns leaves over and around, it's searching for bugs. And this beautiful bird actually has come to Delhi from another place. It's come from the forests of central India to Delhi. Strange kind of thing to do, isn't it? Imagine leaving the forests of central India to come to a dirty, polluted place like Delhi. But that's the thing about the Indian pitta and many other bird and animal species, they have to migrate to stay alive. Sustainability for wildlife, therefore, includes not just saving native habitats and native ecosystems, but also in understanding migration. Wherever you live, try to see what is the native ecosystem around you. If you're in Delhi or Haryana, then the Aravallis, scrubland, scrub forests, thorny trees, trees that are not very tall, that would be the native systems. If you are in Chennai, then mangroves, intertidal mudflats would be the native ecosystem. If you are in Kolkata, then you're not too far from the greatest delta and mangrove system in the world, which is the Sundarbans. Everywhere around us, native ecosystems have developed to be able to confront the heat, the humidity, the cold, the difficulties of that particular place. Sustainability has to include making lives of wildlife around us sustainable. In a single day of bird watching in the city, I see many different kinds of birds. I also see different kinds of mammals, such as mongoose, such as hyenas, jackals, nilgai, etc. Around you, if you watch, you'll be able to see many kinds of wildlife making some kind of life around you. Which brings me to the second part of my talk, sustainability for our souls. We are a part of the world. We are not its owners. Biodiversity is the variability of all the different kinds of ecosystems and the different kinds of wildlife that we have around us. The beauty of biodiversity is that creatures actually depend on each other to stay alive. And we, in fact, are also dependent on biodiversity for our own lives. Think about it. You drink milk that comes from the stomach of a cow. You eat potatoes that are grown in dirt. You enjoy different kinds of mangoes in summer. You enjoy many different kinds of rice that grows in India. This is all biodiversity. And we actually depend on this biodiversity in order to live. In order to lead a sustainable life, sustainability for your soul, I'm going to give you 3 points. The first is save, protect, and conserve native ecosystems around you. Just like that Semal I told you about, the one that had the male grey hornbill feeding the female grey hornbill. Just the fact that a single tree brings so many different animals to it, we have learned and realized that a single tree makes a difference. Let me repeat that. A single tree makes a difference, especially if it's a native tree. Wherever you are, try to see what is the native ecosystem around you and try your best to conserve it. Here is the greatest part. In India today, we are going through an environmental revolution. In Chennai, young people are standing up to protect Pulikat Lagoon, a place with both fresh and saline water, with hundreds of kinds of fish, and thousands of migratory birds that come every winter. In Aravallis, the oldest mountain range on earth, people of Delhi and Haryana, young people are coming together to save the last hills from mining and real estate. All over India, young people are coming together to save places that are special to them. Last year, young people of Assam managed to save the forests of Dihing Patkai from coal mining. Dihing Patkai, also known as the Amazon of the East. It's full of these gorgeous orchids that are found in Assam. It's full of elephants. It's full of biodiversity that hasn't even been mapped. And young people today understand that that native biodiversity needs to be protected. What was said in Glasgow was realized by these young people a long time ago. My second tenet for sustainability of the soul: reduce the things that you have. Reduction can be an act of love. Reduce the number of things you own and hang on to the ones that you have. Create a relationship with that sari your mother gave you, that leather bag your father left you, maybe a shawl that was given to you by your grandmother or your grandfather. The things that you have, cherish them, love them, develop a relationship with them. Don't go shopping on Black Friday. Make Black Friday a no shopping day instead. Because if we all decide to reduce the number of things we have, to hold on to the things that we actually do have for a little while longer, we reduce our burden on this earth. My third tenet for sustainability of the soul is to be wild and willful. Embrace complex problems. Complex problems are never going to go away. That's a fact of life. Trying to be sustainable is also a complex problem because we often think that what we do can't be enough to save the planetary problems of climate change or stop a species from going extinct. While it's true that the problems are global in their impacts and global in the way that they threaten all of us, it's also true that a single person trying to make a difference does count. Plant your feet in the ground and decide to go forward with tenets of sustainability. Reduce the things you have, protect a native ecosystem, look at your life as a way of self-improvement, learning more about nature, learning what you can do. Just like that Semal tree made such a big difference to that hornbill family, just like that one native tree makes a difference, each one of us can make a difference. Because it's when we join hands together, each one of us making a difference, that we actually create planetary change. So while our world leaders debate climate change, I say we don't wait for them. We go ahead and lead sustainable lives. You'll be amazed if you start looking around you, the number of birds, the number of butterflies, the number of moths that are already there in your life. Practice sustainability for your soul. Be wild and willful. Reduce the things you have. Stand up for native ecosystems. And I promise you, your life will be more fun, more rich. And you'll come away a different person. Thank you so much.